YouTubers, it's JSkyr91 here. Today I'm going to be going over the second half of my PLL's recognition from two sides. So in the first half I went over where we had all corners permuted, so we had U perm, H perm, and Z perm, and how to distinguish between all of them from all four angles. And then, just looking at two sides from any angle. And then I went over how to do E, N, V, or Y, or where you have a diagonal corner swap, and how to recognize those from all angles. So now I'm going to go over the last part, and this part's a little bit more lengthy. And this is where we have two corners correctly permuted and two not permuted. So we have an adjacent swap. So something like this, where these two are solved, and these two need to be swapped in order to be solved. And there are a lot of different cases we can run into with that. If we get this, we either have an A perm, an F perm, a G perm, a J perm, an R perm, or a T perm. So we have 6 possible things we could run into. So it's not too bad if you think of it like that, although there's obviously the mirrors of each of them. But we're going to break this up into a couple different categories. So the first category is going to be where we have a bar. So basically we're looking at this, we're looking for certain things, and when we see these things we'll be able to, by process of elimination, figure out what we have. But it'll be much quicker than it sounds. It'll just simply be, I see this, I see something, another set of things, I know what I have. And this is where I really differ from Sarah's version, because Sarah's version very much so required a lot of thoughts, and like, okay, I needed to see if these two were the same color, and these two edges were the same color or not, and I need to check to make sure these were good. I just I think it's the same amount of steps, but it doesn't require as much looking around the cube and thinking. It's more just algorithmic, which in this case, it'll be really nice if we can just make this super quick and super easy. The second I see this little portion, I know what I have, and I think that'll make it really fast. So that's what I'm aiming for with these. And the sections are going to be broken up, like I said, 5 ways. So first of all, if we have one block, like this right here, so you see here, I have a block, and then nothing else. This is the first section. The second section will be if I have 2 blocks. So if I have a block, and then another block. That's the second section. The third section will be if I have just a set of headlights, like this. So headlights, nothing else. The fourth section will be the combination of 2. So if I have a block and I have headlights, then I know what to do. And finally, we'll end if I have nothing. So if I don't have any headlights or any blocks. This sounds really difficult, but it's actually one of the easier sections. So let's go ahead and start off with the block section. So each of these sections is pretty much always also broken down into 2 subcategories. So for the block section, the 2 categories that we're going to look at are, once we see this block, and we acknowledge that these 2 are the same color, although this is not the exact process we'll go through. At the end, I'll kind of go through exactly what I do. But at first, I just want you to see the recognition system. So first of all, we know that we have a block, and if we see that this corner sticker right here is the opposite of this, then we have case 1. If we see that it's not opposite, like right here, then we have case 2. Okay? So case 1, we always have an A perm or a G perm. You can look at it, but this is just how it is. We know because these 2 are opposites that headlights are over here. So if headlights are over here and we have part of a block here, either this is just part of a block and a G perm, or this is an A perm and this corner, this edge is also permuted. It's only one of those 2, so don't worry about it. Now starting off here, if these 2 are the same color, then we have an A perm or a G perm. Now if they're the same color, the next question is, okay, well, do I have an A perm or G perm? And the way I recognize this is that if I look, so the way Sarah would have said to do so was to look at these edges, and are these edges adjacents or are they opposites? And if they're opposites, then you go ahead and say, oh, okay, if they're opposites, I know that I have an A perm. So if they're opposites, you have an A perm. But I think, or if they're adjacents, which means they're not opposites, then you have an A perm. And if they're not adjacents, in other words, they are opposites, you have a G perm. Now, I think that's okay, but that requires that I first look here, find that these are opposites, then look here again. So I'm looking at this sticker twice. And I don't agree with that. I think that you should only look at each sticker once. So the process that I go through is I say, okay, these two are opposites, perfect. Now I ask the next question, are these two opposites? If these two are opposites, like this right here, then we have an A perm, as we do here. So it's the opposite of what she said. But if these two are opposites and these two are opposites, or I just like to think of it as very short sequences, op, op, opposite, opposite, then we have an A perm. And since there's only, by process of elimination, if we're opposite and not opposite, we have a G perm. So op, op, A perm, op, not, G perm. And just to make things a little bit easier, I'll go ahead and give you an example of what that would look like. So we have here opposites right here, right? And not. So these two are not opposites. So we have a G perm here, you can see. And so that's that side. That I think makes it really simple. The next thing we can have is if they are not opposites, so this is case 2, right? If they're not opposites, then the next question we ask is, are these two the same color or are they different colors? If these two are different colors, then we have a T perm. If they're the same color, we have a R perm. Because you always have an R perm or T perm here. Because it means that if these two aren't opposites, right? That means headlights are not here, so headlights must be here. And if they must be here, and we have a block here, all we could have is a T perm or an R perm. So that's the recognition system I use for this. The way Sarah explained it was that there was 4 colors. So if there are 4 colors available, same thing as she kind of did with the H perms, then you have a T perm. If there are 3 colors available, then you have an R perm. And I again, with the same thing with that is I think that requires you look here at all, you have to count colors, and I don't like that. I just like saying, are these the same, are these the same? Same, same, good to go. All right? So yeah, that's that. So this is a T perm, and an R perm would be where these two were the same right here. So like this, we have a block, same, this is the same as this, I have an R perm. So that's the process I go through. Here, 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 here. I don't even need to look at this corner for that, or this color for that. So that was for the block on the outside. Now if the block's on the inside, this is still part of the block section. And this is really easy. If the block's on the inside, we have to have a G perm, right? There's no other way, assuming these two are the same color, that we can't have a G perm. So then the only question we ask ourselves is this opposite or is it not? If this is opposite, then we have a bar here and we have headlights there. That's very simple. We have that G perm. If these are not opposites, then we have a bar here and headlights must, by process of elimination, be here. So we know we have this G perm if these aren't opposites. So that's just a little easy, quick tip. You don't even really need these to be part of this recognition system, but I guess just a little explanation so you realize. Now, the next section is also equally easy, I think. The next section, basically what we're going to go over is if we have 2 blocks, okay? So we have a block here and we have a block there. Now, if we have 2 blocks, if you remember from the beginning when we were talking about the easy cases, if this and this is opposite and that color opposite, so this block and then the corner color are opposite and that block and this corner color are opposite, then you have an N perm. It's very easy. And you can tell which N perm by the direction, right? If they're moving this way, then you have an N perm that's this thing and you have the other one. So it should be pretty simple. If you don't have that though, if you have this right here where one set of headlights or one set is opposite and the other is not, you have an H perm, or you have a J perm. Same thing with both of these, right? And you can also, again, same way with an N perm, know which J perm you have simply by the direction of this right here. So this is the actual J-ish perm, or I think some people call this the L, I don't know. This is the left-handed J perm from this point. And this is the right-handed J perm from this point, right here. Because moving this way, you can tell. Now, the only other thing you really need to know from this point is where is the solved block and the solved side, and the solved side is always opposite of the one set of colors that are opposite. So again, opposites, opposites. So it's here, or in this case, it's there. So that's really simple. I don't really know that it needs much more explanation, so let me know if you guys have any questions about that. Alrighty, so now moving on, we have finished the one block section and the two block section. So now we're moving on to the headlights section, okay? So if we have headlights, there's two categories we can have here. We can either have headlights where these are opposites, so the color between the headlights is opposite, or the color between the headlights is not opposite. So it's the exact same recognition of opposites, but it's just done differently, as it was with the blocks portion, but instead we're looking at the color between these headlights. So headlights, opposites, headlights, not opposites. Okay? So first we'll go ahead and start with the headlights opposites. This is incredibly easy. If you have headlights opposites, you have a G-perm. Just so you know, it's certainly a G-perm. Always a G-perm. It's a G-perm. Be happy, you know it's a G-perm. Assuming, yeah, it's always, like, there's nothing you even need to look at. You don't even need to look at this back sticker, ever, because you already know where the headlights are. You have a G-perm. If these two are opposites, you have a G-perm. The only question is which G-perm do I have? So, I guess to be more specific, you always have a G-perm, and you always have a G-perm with the bar on the back. So it's even more specific. You know that you have a G-perm, and you know you have a G-perm with the bar on the back. That's just how it works. Now, the question is the bar here, or is it here? And the way to recognize this is also, I think, equally easy. So you say opposites here, then you ask, do I have opposites here? Or do I not have opposites here? So you see here I have opposites. So opposites, opposites tells me one thing, opposites, not opposite tells me another thing. If you have opposites, opposites, this is kind of redundant. If you have opposites, opposites, your bar is opposite this side right here. So it's right back here. So I say opposite, opposite, opposite. Right? It's not close, it's opposite. It's opposite of this corner. Up, up, up. And then by process of elimination, up, not means the bar is right here. So it's not good that the bar is so close to me. You can think of it that way. It is good when the bar is opposite of me. So that's the way I look at it. Pretty simple. Yeah, that's all you need to know for that. Up, not, up, up. That's all you ever need to wonder. Now, if you don't have opposites, you can have one of three things. You can either have a G-perm, and so a G-perm like this right here, an A-perm, you see here we have headlights not up, or an R-perm like this right here. Okay? And these are all actually pretty easy to distinguish between as well. So, if you have opposites, the question you're going to ask is, is it up, up? Again, you're asking this, so you're looking for opposite, opposite, or not opposite, sorry, not opposite, opposite, or is it not opposite and I have a checkerboard? You see here, checkerboard, there, 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 orange, blue, orange, checkerboard. So those are the two questions you're asking. Do I have up, or not up, or do I have not up, checkerboard? So if you have not up, then you have a G-perm, okay? This is the way I remember it. And you can tell this because, and the way Sarah explained this, if these are adjacent, the only way that can occur is either you have an R-perm or a J-perm, or an R-perm or a G-perm. If these are opposites. If they're adjacent, then you have an A-perm because that means that your edges are permuted. From here, if you have this nice little checkerboard, it's just incredibly distinguishable. This is an R-perm. If you ever see a checkerboard like this, you have an R-perm. Always. Very easy to recognize that like that. So then, by process of elimination, if it's neither up or not up, and it's not a checkerboard, then you have an A-perm. That's the way I remember it. So opposite, not opposite, or not is the way you could think of it. From this angle, not. You can look at it that way, or you can just say this doesn't have this is not opposite. These are not opposite, and it's definitely not a checkerboard because that's a lot better looking than that. Therefore, I have an A-perm, which is a pretty good perm. Alrighty, so now we're moving on to the next section, which is where we have headlights and a block. So it's pretty distinguishable. This is also incredibly easy. There's not anything you need to do, really. All you need to ask when you see you have a headlights in this block is, are these the same color, or are they not the same color? If these two are the same color, then you have an A-perm. If they're not the same color, then you have a G-perm. If you look at this, you know you have a block here, and you know that you have at least a part of a block here, and you only have headlights. So that means you only have an A or a G perm. And the way Sarah explained it was there's either 4 colors here, between here, or 3 colors. And so that to me, again, I've just simplified that to say, do these match or do they not match? If they don't match, you have a G perm. All right? Very simple. Alrighty, so now we are on to the final section. You guys are almost done. And I think this section is pretty easy. I think it's easier than some of the other sections, particularly the one where you just have a bar. That was the one that I always had most trouble with. I think I explained it pretty concisely, but man, that took me a while to come up with that system. It was kind of confusing. So this system, I think, is a little bit complex, but it's honestly not too bad. Now, this is where we have nothing. So right here, got nothing, right? Doesn't look like anything to you. There's actually some things here that you may not notice. Or actually, in this case, it's what's conspicuous is what's not here. And so I'm gonna explain with this. But basically, the 3 things you can run into when you have this, assuming these 2 are the same. Now remember, if these are different, then you automatically have an E-perm. If this is all looks like a jumble mess and these 2 are different, you have an E-perm. Sweet, done, easy. Now, you can either have a G-perm, like, oh wait, sorry. I think I picked up the wrong one. You can have a G-perm, like this right here. This is the G-perm you have from this angle. You can have a R-perm, like this, or an R-perm like this, right here. So you can either have an R-perm, G-perm, or you can have an F-perm. And the F-perm is where we're going to start, because the F-perm is really easy. So if you're looking at this angle, and you know that these 2 are the same, if you have a checkerboard here, you have an F-perm. It's very simple. Checkerboard means F-perm. Now, you may be asking, okay, well, I have a checkerboard. Where is my, is there an easy way for me to know where my bar is? Well, you could look at these and see you have opposites, right? Well, we kind of don't want to have to look for that. Like, I don't like looking across a sticker. I find that takes more time. So instead, what you can do is, if you have a checkerboard, and then what we look for is we look for 2 corners, a corner and a center, that are opposite as well. So if you have a checkerboard, and you have a corner center that are opposite, then the side that the corner center is opposite on is where your bar is. So does that make sense? It's always adjacent to the bar. So these 2 are here, my bar is here. If these 2 had been over here, then my bar would be back here. So that's how it always works. Wherever you have these opposite colors, you know you have a bar. So it's the same concept as this, which is just except this says directly across, but this only requires looking directly next to each other. It doesn't require skipping a sticker, and it takes less time to recognize this, I think, than it does this. So I would go checker pattern, suite opposites, bar here, ready to go. That's your F-perm. So 1 out of 3 eliminated. So now we get to a little bit of a harder cases, right? So now we ask the question, okay, well, what about like this? What is this? What is this to me? So it's either an R-perm or it's a G-perm, right? Because it's not an H, or it's not an F-perm, because there's no checker pattern. So then what we look for, actually, I think I picked the wrong one here yet again. Yes, I did. So then what we look for is we look for that same little case I showed you guys earlier, where we have opposites right next to each other. If you want to think of it, it's kind of like half of the Y-perm checker, but it's just always, you have opposites on the left or the right. Now, if you find that you have opposites, and you don't have a F-perm, and you don't have the checkerboard right here, then you have a G-perm. So opposites is a G-perm. In most of these cases, opposites will always be a G-perm, just so you realize if you haven't noticed that trend. Opposites is a G-perm. Now, in the same this works a little bit differently. So these opposites now, if you don't have an F-perm, they also still tell you where the bar is. So you know that you have opposites, but then you want to ask, okay, well, where are my headlights? Well, actually, you might want to ask, yeah, where are my headlights? I think it's actually a better question to ask, where is my bar? Because if my bar is right here, so you automatically know that the bar can't be right here, right? Which means the headlights have to be here or here. Does that make sense? And you know that you basically have the long case. So I always look at this. I think this is A, whatever. You either have an A or a C, I believe. Because if it were here or here, if the bar were here or here, then we could have headlights here, and we'd have the B or D, but we can't. So we already know that we're going to have either this or the one where the bar is over here, right? One of these 2. So as long as we know where the bar is, we know where the headlights are. If the bar is here, the headlights must be here. You could also think of it inversely. If the headlights are here, the bar must be here. But I look for the bar because that's the part that I need to align in order to properly do things. I don't know about you guys, but I don't always put my headlights on the left. I do, however, always put my bar in a certain position. So if you look at the opposite colors are always opposite of where the bar is. So it's the same thing as with like headlights before, opposite, except you only have to look on the two colors right next to each other and say opposite, opposite. So headlights are opposite of the bar in this case, or opposites are opposite of the bar in this case. So that's how I remember it. And by simple process of elimination, we now know that if we do not have a checkerboard and we do not have headlights, or we don't have opposites, then we do not have, or then we have an R perm. So the question is, now where is the bar? Is the bar here as it is, or is the bar here? Yes, yeah, or no, is the bar here, or is it here? So is this the little corner? Is this corner right here, or is it the other one? Let me get this, let you see this just so it's easier to explain. So, like right here, do we have this case or this case? And so I've come up with a little system for this that I think works as well. So the first thing I see here, like the first process I go through is I say, I notice there's not checkerboard. That should stand out to you immediately, right? So then I say, is there opposites on either sides? There isn't, okay? That's like takes like 0.2 seconds, whatever. No checkerboard, not opposites. So then I know I have an R perm. So what I do is I look for the two colors that match. So these two match right here, right, on the center. So either this is going to match with this, or this is going to match with this, right here. And the way that they match points to the side that the bar is on. Does that make sense? So these two match. That means that I have the big portion of the R perm over here, or the more solved portion over here, and vice versa. This points to over here, which means I have the bar here, or you can think I have the little guy here. So these two point there, because they go along that line, they point to right here. So that's it, guys. That's the system. I could give you a couple of examples, I guess, or just kind of throw them up here. So I think the ones that require the most practice are these, and then the ones with the single bar. So again here, what do I notice about this? I notice this is not a checkerboard. I notice that these two are the same. And I notice that I have opposites, which by process of elimination means I have a G perm. And I know that I have a G perm that has the bar right here, because these are opposites of the bar. Now, so what we've got here, right? I immediately notice, and this is the process I go through. I say, bar, this is which side I'm starting on. So if I have a bar or I have a headlight, that's the side I start on, and then I move across. So I say I have a bar here. Okay, opposites, sweet. So bar, opposites, I have a G perm or an A perm. Are these opposites? These are opposites, which means I have an A perm. Unless this is the different color. If this is a different color than this green, then I would have a V perm, right? Because I would have a block on the inside. So that's the process I go through. I always look at, this is what I call the kicker. So this is what you look at right as you start to execute your algorithm. So you don't really need to, you just need to make sure you see this to make sure that what you've determined is right. And with these cases, it's really easy because the only chances you're going to have here is either a V perm or a Y perm. And a Y perm, if it would have been block on the outside, you probably would have looked to here anyway. So yeah, that's what I would have done here. Okay, let's look at this one right here. All right. So, oh yeah, I say I have a block. I see these are not opposites. So then I say, okay, I have a T perm or a T perm or an R perm. Now I don't say this or think this. It's just by process of elimination, not opposites, T perm or an R perm. Are these two the same color? No, they're not. Means I have a T perm. Then I say, is this different than this? No, it's not. Sweet, I do have a T perm. Now let's go ahead and do this one right here. Okay. So what I see here, I have headlights and I have a bar. All right. So headlights, bar. I say, okay, this is not automatically is not going to be the same. So I don't really care about any of that, right? I don't need to look at this, right? All I need to ask myself is, are these two colors the same? If these two colors are the same, then I have an A perm. If they're different, then I have a G perm. These are different. I have a G perm. This is the bar of my G perm. Start execution. here, all I have is headlights. So no headlights or no bars at all anymore. Now I just have headlights. So, okay, now the first question I always ask is, are these two colors opposites? Yes, they are. If they're opposites, yay, I have a G perm. Well, not yay, because I don't really like G perms that much, but I have a G perm. So I know these are opposites. Then my next question is, what are these two opposites? If these two are opposites, then I have opposite. So my bar is back here. If they're not opposites, as they are, then the bar is right here, which it is, and I execute. Alright, I think that's a couple of good examples there. And as you see there, that the big portion, or the big thing you always have to remember to do, is to always check that last sticker. So, again, I'm looking at my bar, I have to make sure that I check this sticker. I don't have to necessarily check this sticker sometimes, but I do have to check this sticker. So you do want to get through at least 5 of the stickers, pretty much always. Alright, I hope that was helpful for you guys. I know it was probably a little confusing. In the link, I'll link you guys to this program that's pretty cool that I use to practice it. I'm going to go ahead here and lift this up and let that adjust to there. It's this little program here. It's called Clim Hazard's PLL Recognizer. It's pretty awesome. I mean, it's a little bit clunky and it kind of messes up every now and then, but it's really simple. Basically what you do, you press this start button. It only provides you 2 sides, if you notice. You press the start button and it starts timing, and then you have to choose out of all of these 21 which PLL you have. So it's pretty cool. So we could really quickly do this, right? This is opposites. Oh, actually, the first thing I noticed, bars on the inside, that means I have a G perm, right? And these are opposites. This is the same. Sweet. I had the G perm where I have the bar right here. So it's this one right here. And then I click on it. And obviously that took 24 seconds because, and it tells you, are you correct or not correct? Now it obviously took 24 seconds, but that's only because I was trying to do this through here. In general, you should try and make your recognition 2 seconds or less. That's what I'm aiming for, at least. Right now, some of them are still like 3 seconds, 3 or 4 seconds. I haven't completely perfected this, but I've already had many of them sub 2 seconds, much less than 2 seconds normally. And so I'm talking about on this thing here, 2 seconds, which means I recognize it in about 1 to 1.5 seconds. And I'm already executing probably by the time that I even can figure out what it is. The hardest part of this, you'll spend a lot of time, is this makes no sense. The organization up here, I mean, the only organizational structure he has here is that you have is by corners permuted. Like, you would think he would just do this in alphabetical order. That would have been really easy, and you would have been able to easily figure out what you needed, but he didn't. And I'm not really going to complain too much more than that, because thank you, Clim Hazard, for the PLL recognition thing. It was nice. I don't really like the way you set it up, but hey, whatever. Okay, well, thank you guys. I hope this helped you out. Please rate, comment, and subscribe.